Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this beautiful live stream on the 8th of September. And I'm joined by the beautiful Model Spawn. Say hi.
Hello, my beauties.
And the equally as handsome Motsro.
Hello.
There we go. We'll squad to see some love for both Spawn and Sru in the chat as well. It's very important. We're going to talk about the other update that's coming on the 14th of September, alongside the improvement and changes to the King Ring, the version of Distraction, which has an updated penguin model. We've got an upgraded, refreshed rewards interface. You can get yourself a very cute baby penguin called Sheldon. And last but not least, there's going to be some super secret agent penguins roaming around Illinois as well that come as part of that update as well. But that's not what we're talking about today. We are talking about the other second update that's coming alongside of that on the 14th of September, which is the Effigy Incubator. That's the title. And I'm going to hand over to Model Spawn to tell us a little bit more about what that is.
Yes, Effigy Incubator, just in case you didn't understand the Dutch. This is our priority was to actually get some updates in your hands, because obviously we talked a little bit about how we wanted to get to more monthly updates. We wanted to overcome the the obstacle of COVID and the pandemic by moving to updates that come out monthly, and this was part of that. Obviously, we can't just do a Children of Mar, Fate of the Gods, a Boss, Orphan, that kind of thing straight off the bat. To put together some things that are more kind of workable within that time frame. So we came up with the idea of progressing the narrative that came out the back of Desperate Measures. We wanted to make sure that kind of momentum continues. So you probably see from the title Effigy Incubator, there's some connections to some of the characters, particularly Kerapac, from Desperate Measures. So we really wanted to keep that going and to show that story can really hit through skilling content. And another thing that we kind of fell in love with, which is really the crux of Effigy Incubator, is we love kind of really chunky monthly D&Ds like Troll Invasion, and people play them, they love them. They don't impact necessarily on that kind of daily engagement and daily grind that a lot of people kind of worry about, not as much. But we love the idea that what if a monthly D&D benefited you across the whole month? You're getting things that you can use day to day. You can also come back to the area and use and gain benefit of as well. So it's not just ring fenced that one moment, that 15 minutes or that one day. So we came up with the idea of an effigy incubator, because so many people have ancient effigies. They know them, they love them, but they don't know what they are. And they might not know that there are other kinds that do different things. So we thought it'd be really interesting to go to the laboratory where Kerapac was creating and splicing these incubators and really dive into it. And that was really the core of the concept. And I'll stop talking now so other people can weigh in.
Yeah. So I'll just jump on that. I see a couple of comments about audio, both from Model Spawn and I think myself as well. We will try.
Shall I slip on a headphone
next time? If you could put a headphone on, that would be amazing. As some of you might have noticed, I've got a different background because I'm in a different location, and I'll try and sort that out for next time. Aside from that, Model Spawn, was there a specific reason that we were like, we want this to be the version of Distraction? So what was our design, or what was the philosophy behind that?
One of the cruxes was definitely the ancient effigies themselves. From a story standpoint, it's lovely to actually find out what they were, and this content does have a chunk of story, so we get to do that and also progress the narrative of Kerapac and Desperate Measures. But I just really loved playing on the urn aspect. Mochri will go into a bit more about it, but the ancient effigies, kind of how they might cross over with urns, how we can use the benefits of Brooch of the Gods as well to make these urns even more valuable. So you'll see when Mochri goes into more detail about what you'll be making and how that will benefit you across the whole of the month. And that's what we were really looking to do, Mochri and I, when we were talking about it, is that we didn't want to just hit in that 15 minutes with a monthly D&D. We want to have something that just benefits you over the course of the whole month. So I just value it regardless. Mm-hmm. Two modes, the monthly D&D version and the training method version.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there, of course, is also an element of it being 10 years, 12 years since we've released the version of the Distractions, of course. Which I think is like it makes it like into a nicer, biggest overarching story, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously on the same day that we're launching Penguins, and so that's a remaster of one of those D&Ds that came in 12 years ago, but we're also coming to you with a completely new one as well. So you've got a bit of old, something new, and we just need something blue. But you get the idea that we're looking to kind of invigorate the game while also adding something new.
Yeah. So Effigy Incubator is new content, but like it can be for low levels, mid levels, high levels. Would you be able to elaborate a bit on that as well, Model Spawn, or would you like me to help you with that?
Well, that's not quite true. What's true?
Yeah. You think? Really?
No, yeah. It's not really for all levels because there is an initial requirement of you need at least level 85 in either smithing, rune crafting, or invention, as well as completed desperate measures prior, because obviously we're continuing a bit of the storyline there. So those being the requirements, like it's not necessarily for low levels, well, because those are requirements. So yeah,
it's got that kind of port in that you've got to have one of those skills at 85 to participate, but if you have more of the skills at 85, obviously the content blossoms out and you can do more with it. So it's got that kind of vibe to it.
Yeah. Was there a specific reason we decided to go for relatively high skill requirement? Was it like we feel like it fits this content? Did we specifically want to cater a bit more towards the high levels with this piece of content, or was there a reason for this with Osborne?
Yeah, I mean, such a proportion of our players are at high levels. We haven't really focused at high levels with a D&D, not really. And the idea of coming at you with what is effectively a manufacturing D&D, like if you take these manufacturing skills and you can kind of level it up based on how many skills you've got to 85, so it gives you an objective to work towards as well. But also it means that, similarly to elite skills, we could focus all of the rewards on stuff that really impact on a high levels play, rather than trying to come up with rewards that would cover a huge breadth of levels. We can really nail what players want at those high levels. So I like that part of it too.
No, I can really see that. I think I will wholeheartedly agree with you on that one, but I think it's the right approach to take it down with for that.
Yeah, everything has to be for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like nice to get a little bit of a niche thing at times, right? Like this is like together with the Penguins, like it is also like a diversion and distraction. Like it's not released on for a very long time, so we kind of wanted to get that a bit of a spotlight as well. So that's really cool.
Yeah, smack on. It's a variety thing as well. Like Penguins can be played by everybody, but yeah, Effigy Incubator very much at that top bracket.
Yeah, think about it. It's actually a really nice combo. The Penguins very accessible for everyone. If you literally wander into the world, you can across them and you can interact with them. Whereas this Effigy is like this nice for the more high level players. I'm going to say more likely high level players because there are some people like 85 is still not high level. I mean,
of course.
We'll always have those players that will say that, but that's fine.
It's not 200 mil. Come on.
Well, if you've reached a 200 mil, it's not really that much of a reward in that skill you want, anyways, because you've got your 200 mil. So that's how you look at it. Shall we start talking a little bit about what the Effigy Incubator is? Shall we slowly move into that way, or do we want to go a bit more into the concept art direction first?
I think the concept art would really help to describe it, to be honest. Because probably players got no idea what we're talking about.
I bet people are thinking, what the hell is going on here?
Go on, Shrew.
Yeah, so this is one of the early concepts of the Effigy Incubator area. And to be fair, it hasn't deviated too much from this as well. And I think we'll see that more later on. But yeah, so within this area, we have the Effigy Incubator, which is obviously which is used for incubating effigies, and from kind of like a more lore standpoint, like this was what Kerapac expected would kind of revolutionize memory storage for the dragonkin. And you'll learn more about that through playing the content. But yeah, here the player has the ability to make new effigies that they've never experienced before or seen before. And the core of the creation of these effigies is done during the D&D. So you have within you can see there's the blue arrow pointing towards the resources. Around the room there is a variety of different spots which generate resources which are required to craft these different effigies. So these resources, during the time you can collect, you'll need to collect a certain amount of these resources, as well as the actual effigy casing. Like effigies are more living than kind of not. So they need like there's more to it than just that. Using these resources, the player can then create kind of an incubated effigies, which then during it you can incubate, and then from that you will get there's 4 new types of effigies. We've got volatile effigies, erratic effigies, unstable effigies, and explosive effigies. Each tailored towards each of these are essentially rewards. And as Mod Osborne said earlier, we're kind of looking at these are based, well, they're similar to urns in some respect. Effigies are in search of knowledge. They want knowledge. Once you have these incubated effigies, that's what they want. They want this knowledge. And as a player, you can go out into the wider world and train in certain skills in a similar way to urns, but you have a wider variety of skills which each effigy is kind of demanding. So you fill this with a certain amount of XP, and you'll be rewarded in a similar way. So these require a lot more XP than a normal urn, and the rewards are, or in return, a larger chunk of XP in a variety of skills based on the skills required to fill that effigy with knowledge. And there's more than just that. There's a chance you can get some extra stuff, but I think it's probably more fun to leave some to the unknown and let you experience that for yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll go in.
Just had a quick question about this image as well before we are moving on to the next picture as well. Like, this is like a relatively early concept art piece. Where kind of was this still made in the design phase, or was this already slightly further into development? Or where do we have to position this piece?
So this is kind of at the level design. Sorry, Shree. So it's at the stage whereby we know what the mechanics of the content is, and now we're bringing on board the artists. And so we sit in a Zoom, chatting away to the artists. We're starting to move around the pieces. So actually, we started with an arena where the incubator was sat in the middle, and all the resources kind of radiated out from that. But we found that was, we wanted people to be next to each other, seeing each other. So there's a lot of things and factors that change the design. So eventually we came to this, whereby you can see at the top right, that's the entrance. You come in, you overlook the machine, you get to know the machine, you get tutorialized by the character, and then you step down to the workbenches and the resources where the arena and most of the action tends to happen. So it's kind of a level design stage, I would say.
Yeah, all right, cool. I see quite a few questions in chat. Please pop them down as well. I will write them down, and once we've kind of explained everything that we wanted to explain about the Effigy Incubator, so then we'll go back to the questions, and then if they're still, we've not answered them, we'll answer them at that time. So I see a couple about pets, the effigy pets and all those kinds of things. We'll get to that near the end of the live stream, and we'll just kind of go through the bits and bobs that we want to really tell you about is the Effigy Incubator that's coming on that point in September. And with that, I kind of want to pass it back to you, Motsuri. It's up to you if you want to move on to the next picture. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so this was a kind of obviously a much more detailed version of the room, and yeah, this is actually quite a lot later. And you can see at this point when this was done, we had a nice like block out room layout, which which was vital for like kind of testing and development. Again,
So this one is made after the previous picture, right? After the one we just saw. Yeah.
This was we had, so obviously we had the initial level like kind of design stage where, as Osborne said, we were kind of looking at the flow of the area and how the player's going to progress through it. At that point, we were also getting this room layout done, so we could kind of look at and test and kind of feel how it and experience how it felt. Once we were reasonably happy with that, this is when our concept artists went into more detail, and we got these really nice, kind of really accurate representations of what the room would look like. And that was it.
Yeah, you can probably see we had some feedback on this asset, for example. Like, you can probably see that there was a break in one of the bridges over to the left-hand side of the main image, and we didn't like how much that broke up the flow. And there were some obstacles that would have obscured the player, and some of the interaction points were too far from each other. So we worked around a lot of these things, and this was just another helpful stage to do that.
Another thing that I think is worth pointing out as well, that even in this concept art piece, you can see like as what people in chat are referring to a scaly man as well, and that just reiterates kind of how much we really want it to be related to a story of Anachronia and Desperate Measures as well. That it was designed with that from the start as well, right? And we want to incorporate that and continue that story. So it's really nice to kind of also see that come together in like concept. There really.
Yeah, we could probably give a bit more detail on story as well. That I think we can say that instead of doing a conventional tutorial, we've expanded out further, connected to Desperate Measures, and done something of a bottle quest. So a lot of players have been very eager for us to do things like this. Like, not every quest has to be monolithic in size and stuff like that. We can do some nice storytelling. A lot of it is based on a kind of the mystery of a shadowy character that appears around the base camp. You'll find out a bit more as we go on. But also we have storytelling that will happen on a month-by-month basis. We want to keep that under wraps a wee bit. And the main character in this area is also a bit of a spoiler, so we won't go into that either. But just show how much the content bleeds story, and it doesn't have to happen just through quests.
I mean, we've got JX Raven in chat, so I quickly want to ask, do you kind of vaguely remember how many words it was, JX Raven? Because I believe it was a pretty long essay, you could say.
Can't stop him.
Yeah, just to say off the quest front, it's a short mini quest. Like it is a mini quest over a quest because the size and things. But from doing that, from taking part in this, and every time you engage in this each month, you will experience and learn more things about this area and the history of the character that you'll be working with.
No, absolutely. I think you're nailing that. It is a mini quest, but like it's not as big as some of the mini quests that we've got as well. Like it's moderate, kind of. Just want to caveat that a little bit. Want to move on, or if you've got quite a few things about how it's going to work vaguely as well that we want to talk about, I believe. I don't know if you want to move on to the next question.
Can I jump on that?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I really liked, one of the things we loved about the design was what would happen if you had a process. So, there's gathering resources of these shards, working on a workbench, and then making effigies. What would happen if a player could decide which part of that process they want to do? They might not want to do all of it. So if you wanted to, you could just see this as an XP shower. You could come in, just gather loads of resources, just focus on that. And you could treat this just as a way of getting a mother load of XP in a given month. Or you can look at taking on those other steps in the process. And that's really where the strategy comes in. Like, which skill am I going to focus on getting XP from? Which effigy am I going to work towards? Am I going to go through the whole of the process? Or am I just going to do individual steps of it? I really like that because you can kind of take the D&D in any which way you want. So we'll see different players playing it in different ways.
Yeah, 100%. And with that, like, if you want these rewards, the effigies, to train and fill up with knowledge, then you will need to make a sacrifice to the amount of an initial sacrifice to the amount of XP that you'll be getting. because obviously you could just sit on these nodes, just grind out all the materials for the length of the D&D, and leave with your XP. But in doing so, you have removed the ability to create these effigies. So there are more than just as we mentioned earlier, there are the nodes in the middle, the areas. These shells, which are essential to the creation of these effigies, can only be collected during the active encounter. So yeah, if you don't allocate time to do that during the D&D, then you're not going to have the ability to make those or incubate them yourselves. There is other ways you can get effigies outside of the encounter without incubating them yourselves, but that's at a much slower rate. So yeah, there will be a lot of conscious choices you will want to make depending on probably the player you are. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd love to chat about this concept if there's room.
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry.
There's always room.
I apologise. Yeah, so you can probably see that these are different from the incubator that was appeared in the piece of artwork you just saw. So again, we really like showing how we got to where we were. One thing that's worth noting is actually choosing a concept is never unanimous. So there were a number of people who really liked A, as opposed to C, which actually made it in game, because it is a bit more abstracted. You can't see a dragon head in that kind of top piece. But we really liked, because obviously, you know, we want to put the machine at the front of a lot of kind of our marketing materials, because we really like the idea of Kerapac almost looming over the effigy that it's incubating, or he's incubating kind of thing. We moved over to a kind of more anthropomorphized one, but you could see that we went over a lot of different designs for what that central kind of centerpiece would be.
Thank you for that elaboration. I did not know that story behind it yet for this point. So please keep interrupting and keep adding things about all the pieces of concept. I don't mind at all.
You asked for it.
All right. Yeah. I know what I set myself up for, which is fine. Cool. Shall we get a bit into the material gathering and how it works then, now, Sru?
Sure. I mean, we've kind of already mentioned that you'll need to collect materials from these nodes. Within the room. Depending on the effigy that you want to make or incubate, depends on the node that you should collect from. So there are 4 different materials that you can collect from these nodes, which, certain ones will be used to create the volatile effigy, certain are required to make the erratic effigy, etc. But also this is where kind of your level in different skills comes into play. So like, for example, the volatile effigy is an effigy which is created using the leather material which is collected from the encounter. For this you require 85 crafting. And then again we have the rune crafting, which is the rune crafting one, which creates the erratic effigy. That requires you to have 85 in the rune crafting skill. With the more levels at 85, the more options you have, but at the same time, and the more XP. Well, not necessarily the more XP, but the wider variety of XP that you can gain. Yeah, so I mean, that's the kind of general collection within the D&D. These, obviously, you're collecting these from nodes within the area. These do move around and they swap positions and things. So you need to remain active during the D&D, to make sure that you're not missing out when if the material runs out in the spot that you're at, you can move elsewhere.
Just
that's pretty much
with our producer, are we able to bring one of the early level design pictures up to end up loading these up in the end? Because that will probably make it slightly easier if we're talking about gathering the materials and these kinds of steps, right? I can't. There you go. Yeah. We'll use this one. I think that will work quite nicely. So that the bit about these materials that we're gathering, that's kind of these blue dots on this picture. Am I right? What's right? Yeah.
Yes.
And these will vary every now and then. They will swap up and change, and you will be able to get a different resource from them. And
Yes.
each
You can probably
resource.
correspond it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to just say that it's similar to Hall of Memories in that way, in that you've got an arena whereby the nodes are shifting randomly, and of course, if you're here and you've only got the requirement for crafting, for example, I've only got level 85 crafting maybe, then your crafting node will move and move and move. So you'll be tracking it and harvesting from it, and then looking to make the crafting oriented earn at the end of it all. But obviously, if you've got more levels, then the options start blooming out. When there's randomization, you'll probably, I'm at a crafting node now, it's moved away, but I'm quite close to that rune crafting one, and I also have 85 in that. So you're going to be doing that kind of moment-to-moment strategy as you do it.
Mm-hmm. And then, so you've got these 4 different resources, which you will need different skill in level 85, level 85 for, which is smithing, invention, crafting, and crafting itself. And then depending on that, you'll get different material that you can then use for your effigy. Outside of this, there are like some cool other small mechanics which will also give you some resources or XP. Would you be able to tell a little bit about that, Modstrit?
Sure. So, after the D&D, you can come back and you can engage in this as much as you want. You can collect from these resources. You will still gain XP, not to the same extent that you would during the D&D, because otherwise that would be crazy. Yeah, so you can still come back, collect these materials, but because the power isn't surging through the incubator because it's not active, the materials that you gather are not enriched in the same manner. They're the same materials, but they don't have the energy required to actually create effigies from. So I'll go into actually, kind of the outside of the D&D, as we've said, you can still get these effigies. You cannot make them yourself though for this reason. But the NPC in the room that you'll kind of be working with, he still wants these unenriched versions because he's doing research. He needs these anyway to kind of further his knowledge, and you can contribute these to him. By doing this, then you, after doing a certain amount, you can buy these effigies from him, which then you can then go out into the wider game and use to fill with knowledge, and then gain your XP rewards. One thing I will quickly say as well with these, just because I've seen some things in chat, like these work in a very similar way to urns. They are not tradable though, so if you want to benefit from these, you need to come here and kind of dedicate some time to that, and to the generation of it. What I probably should say as well, during the D&D, you can make as many of these effigies as you physically can during that time. Obviously, the better you manage your time, the more you're going to be able to make. Outside of the D&D, though, however, there is a cap to how many you can obtain. The NPC can only generate so much during that period, and each month his stock will kind of refill. But yeah, this is also it's important that if you want these, you want to be optimized or kind of trying as hard as you can during the D&D to gain or incubate as many as you can.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So yeah, I think if we continue, so kind of from where we started, so we've gathered our materials, then we also have to pick up a what's the fancy name that we use for an effigy device capture jar? What's the term we use for it? Shell. Thank you very much. I was trying to come up with my heart. So yeah, you have to also pick up an effigy shell, and then once you've got both of these, you go to the effigy incubation machine, right? And you can make your effigies.
No. Once you have those, you go to one of the workbenches in the room. This is where you combine the energy and the things from the material, from the resources, the materials into the effigy shell, and that gives you an uncharged version of the effigy. Like it's there, but it needs incubating. So yeah, this is the point where that is another step as part of the D&D that you kind of will most likely want to optimize, because you can make these if you have the materials and the D&D ends, you can still incubate these effigies, but because the machine's not flowing with power and things, you'll get a reduced amount. But yeah, so there's 3 core steps. You've got to collect the resources that you need, which is the
scrap metal, knickknacks, anima nuggets, and dragon flesh.
Yeah, all that stuff. And then you've also got to collect these shells during that stage. Move on to the workbenches where you'll create the uncharged effigies and then incubate them. So the incubation process and things does take a bit of time, but whilst incubating the effigies, you can go back and carry on collecting if you still have time. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be some players that will work out some pretty good strategies with that.
I'm sure it will be. You like your benches, Model Spawn. And then once you have incubated, you'll get the effigy as an item, and also for completing, you will get a small piece of XP as well for incubating them at the time, don't you?
The majority of the XP that you'll see during it is from a large amount. You will get a good amount of XP from that the incubation process, but more from the creating the uncharged effigy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Cool. All right, so then I think we're going to move on. Kind of like we've made our effigies now. We've gathered the resources. We've made the effigies, and the last bit, of course, is using those effigies. And what's the juice from that? What are the things we need to know about that monster?
Yeah, I mean, so these effigies work in, as we said, they work in a very, very similar way to urns. The effigies are in search of knowledge. They want to learn as much as they can, and because of that, each one has 4 skills that it wants to learn. Well, wants knowledge in. So you go off with your effigy in a similar way, like in your inventory, in a similar way to, or in your brooch of the gods, which. So you go off into the wider game, and you might go cut some trees, and you'll be filling your effigy with knowledge of woodcutting. That's kind of the core of the effigies. It's not just a normal urn. You've got the multiple skills that you can use for it, and then also once you open it up and get that XP. Well, at the end, you'll get an option of where you want that XP to go. So you'll be rewarded an XP, but if the effigy wants knowledge in whatever,
I can read them out for you if you want. Would you like me to do that?
I mean, we can. Okay.
Yeah, let's pop up the effigies on screen as well. Now we're talking about them. There you go. That's what they look like. So yeah, we've got the explosive effigy, which seeks knowledge in cooking, fishing, mining, and wood cutting. The unstable effigy, who seeks knowledge in divination, farming, hunter, and rune crafting. The erratic effigy, who seeks knowledge in divination, farming, hunter, and rune crafting. Well, wait! Oh, I've got a mistake here. That's twice the same. This is awful. Is it? Oh, I am going to apologise.
No.
I don't have the right info. Or was it good?
No, I think you did. So
do they double from skills?
Yeah, so depending on the one you use, 2 of them require 4 skills, and the same 4 skills, which you just said, and the other 2 require another 4 skills.
Okay, so yeah.
Depending on the one that you use, depends on whether you get direct XP or bonus XP.
I
think that's where confusion there lies.
Okay, so then let me make it simple. Then, so the explosive and the volatile effigy will give you XP, or seek knowledge in cooking, fishing, mining, and woodcutting, and then the unstable and the erratic effigy seek knowledge in divination, farming, hunter, and rune crafting. There you go.
There you go.
I know there's probably going to be a lot of confusion off the back of what we're talking about, but you've got a tutorial. You can play the content outside of D&D as well. There's not necessarily the onus to get it right first time. I mean, obviously, you want to do well on that first time with monthly D&D, but we have given opportunities to learn in the game. We're just talking about things in piecemeal, and it's very hard to talk about it without showing it. So, you know, we'll learn that for next time.
Yeah. So that is a good reason.
Yeah.
Like we want it to be experienced by you guys in it, but we kind of want to tease and make you a lot excited for it as well at the same time.
It's a tough line to walk.
It is.
Yeah,
it absolutely is.
It is a difficult one because it's not necessarily the most straightforward thing to explain without being able to see it, but at the same time, we don't want to ruin that experience, like the initial experience for you of, you know exactly what you're getting.
Mm-hmm. Just want to check as well. Do you know, top of your head, how much XP or how much knowledge an effigy wants to absorb before it becomes full?
Yeah, so each requires 60,000 XP, which is a large sum compared to what other skills, what other urns, do. But you will be like well rewarded in XP for that that contribution.
Yeah, these are mega urns. These are super urns.
Yeah. So there is also a 1 in 10 chance that you'll get. I wasn't going to say because it was fun to wait, but there is a 1 in 10 chance that you'll get a dragonkin lamp or staff from these. It's a smaller chance, but there's a chance that you'll get it. So there's obviously with dragonkin urns you can put that experience anywhere you like. So even if you've spent time woodcutting for it, you might get the dragonkin lamp, and then you can put that XP in a different skill. So there's some kind of really niche situations, and with a bit of luck, these can be very, very rewarding.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think we've kind of gone through the effigy as rewards as well now. What you'll be able to get out of this D&D. I want to zoom in a little bit, and this is also starting to answer a couple of questions from the chat. So there is this lore component, or this story component that you get every month. And there are some questions about, can I use a monthly reset token, and would that also help me progress through the story quicker?
So you can use a it confused me, sorry. You can use a monthly reset token, yes, but the monthly reset token will not help you progress in the lore. You still require that monthly physical monthly progression for things to happen. Also all of that lovely story has been done written by Mod Raven, so there's some juicy stuff.
If anything written by Mort Raven, you know you're going to be in for a treat. And the more freedom he gets, the better they are. And I think he got quite a bit of freedom with writing this story as well. So
yeah, I think there's a dragonkin potter in there somewhere.
Must be, isn't it?
Must be.
All right, cool. I suggest we slowly start running into the questions, because there were quite a few questions, and these are more like about small bits and specifics as well. Do that? Is there anything that one of you two would like to say first about the effigy before we move into them? Cool. Will the amount? So this is a question from Rubik. Will the amount of effigies we've used in the past have any effect on what you do in this D&D?
Nothing. Nothing different will happen depending on the amount of effigies that you've used in the past.
Yeah. Kind of separate.
There is, so people who have used a lot of effigies in the past and have Effie, there might be some nice extra little unlocks that you can get, but I think we should leave that for people to discover. Yeah,
sounds good to me. Search and bladed dive, will that work within the room?
Yep, you should be able to search and bladed dive within the room.
Of course, otherwise, how can you otherwise min-max? Very important.
I mean, the arena was designed for it as well.
Okay, that's pretty good. I know we did something similar with War's Retreat, which players really appreciated, so I'm looking forward to it in that case, Model Spawn. Iron Man, will they participate in this? Just a simple question. Cool.
Yep.
So we'll get the same XPs and XP rates and everything else?
Yes.
Yep. Cool. We did answer if monthly D&D tokens work on this. They do. We also elaborated on how they work, that they will not progress you with the story. There's some question about the effigy pet. Because we are playing with the effigy and the effigy incubator, has also been room to make it into an override for familiars, or has that been unchanged?
That is still however it is currently.
Still how it was. Is there a pet chance for it?
We'll look into that, by the way.
Sorry, what was that? What was
I was just going to say that the Activity Pets project, which is still very much on the go, and I'm hoping to pop into about it at some point, we'll handle that specifically. So that is something on the cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because this is the Effigy Incubator, is there a pet chance to get Effie?
So not directly from the incubator or the D&D, but as I said before, there's a chance that from filling these effigies you will get a dragonkin lamp. So you still have a chance from those dragonkin lamps to get Effie, or the dragonkin star if it's the other variant.
Cool. So is this mini quest that's kind of coming as part of this? Will that be a requirement for the master questscape?
Yes.
Yes. Cool. Are there any comp or trim comp requirements that will come with this piece of content?
No, I can't remember.
We definitely talked about this.
Yeah, we did. I would have.
We don't recall the icon.
No, That's really embarrassing. I actually can't remember.
That is fine. That happens.
I remember a conversation where we definitely wanted to have comp cape requirements because it is the kind of content that would benefit from it, and that's the reason we did the rework in the first place, right? That we wanted to add it. So if it's in there, then we might look at it post launch. But I'm
pretty sure we did, and I think some of them have. No, I'm pretty sure we did, and obviously we have one which you learn more story as you go along. And we do have one for that, but obviously we have
grace period.
Yeah, grace period for that. So yeah, we do. Sorry, I remember now.
There we go. We'll get there in there. That's fine. Perfectly fine.
Get it out of me eventually.
Question I saw in chat as well. So there's some new music that players can enjoy as part of this. So separate music track for the room you're going to play this D&D in.
Yeah, there's. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there's new music and things.
All the team has been involved, and they've been. All the team is involved, and they've been making some new bangers. Always good. Let me check. Is this instant, or is this like as a group? Can you see all the players walking around?
Yes, so you can see other players, and to be honest, you actually can. You may find that you'll benefit more from doing it where there's more people around. Like you can't directly work with people, but things can happen. Like whilst you're interacting with these nodes, things can happen which could actually benefit the other people around you. So yeah, I mean, when it comes to release day and I play, I will be looking for a higher populated world.
Yeah, we've probably kept about 10% of the design under wraps, and that's exactly what Modestry's talking about. There's a little bit that we want to keep as a surprise, some randomized elements that just kind of juice it up a little bit. But I fully expect players to be benefiting from each other, so I expect, Oyster Day, first of the month, everybody kind of jumping into a world and benefiting from the frenzy.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Thank you very much. There was a question so there are like this lore written into it that you can experience each month. If you happen to not do it for a month, will you then continue where you are, or will the story have progressed?
You'll continue where you are. So if you do fall behind and use a monthly reroll, then you can catch up that way. But otherwise, it will continue from how many times you have taken part.
All right. This is another question about a title. So you've got the distracted title. Will this D&D in any way interact with the distracted title, and will you potentially lose that title temporarily?
Currently, I don't believe so.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Let me check how you've done that one. Is there a clear benefit from this D&D if you have already maxed, or if you've got 5.6 bill XP, for example, even though that is slightly different, but I've got both these questions, so I'll ask them in one.
I think there'll be stuff people will want to unlock from taking part in it. Obviously, they're not going to benefit from the XP part, but there are some unlocks that people might benefit from.
Cool. There's another good one. This minigame, is it going to be time-based, that you have to do as many times within a certain time, or is it kind of point-based, that you've only got X amount of actions?
Yeah, no, it's time-based. During the D&D, obviously you can come back and still interact with it afterwards, which there's no time based there.
Yeah. So another good one, which I find a really interesting question. We recently released the Brush the Gods as part of the Chemical Hydrix items. Can you add these to the Brush of the Gods, or is there an interaction with the Brush of Gods here?
Yep, you can place these in the Brooch of the Gods in the same way you can urns, and they will work in the same manner. Yep.
Cool. Okay. I think these were all the questions I had. If there are any questions that we missed in chat, please put them down now. We'll go over them, and otherwise we're going to slowly wrap it up. So far, thank you both for answering the questions and being on the live stream as well, Models 1 and Models 3. I find it very useful. I will just reiterate as well that this is coming out next week on the 14th of September, together with the Penguins. So it's like a double whammy, 2 really cool updates at once. Is there going to be a specific world dedicated to this D&D? I don't think there are any plans to do so at the moment, are there? Or will we actually do this?
There will be a world which a world. Obviously, you can play it in any world, but there will be a dedicated world.
Cool, thank you. That's a scoop even for me that I wasn't aware of. Oh, because Raven has been involved in this, I'm going to ask you: is there any relation to the weird Raven Sworn Easter egg in this D&D? Do we know that?
I don't think so.
You never know. He might have done.
I was going to say he could have. All I know.
We always find out after the update goes live, don't we?
Don't we just?
The Master Quest requirement, will that have a grace period?
I can't remember off the top of my head. If anything that should have a grace period should have a grace period.
If it makes sense to have one, it will be there. That's where you can assume.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, I mean, from the top of my head, no, but I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, it's been a long day as well, and you've already surprised me with all the answers you've given today. Thank you for joining. So this is coming out next Monday, together with the Penguins. So we're going to have a new cool penguin model. We're going to have a Sheldon Pat, a very cute baby penguin. Super secret agent penguins are going to be added. It's going to be pretty cool. There's one question about that in chat as well, which I really want to address as well, is should we wait to do penguins on Monday, or will there be a reset so we don't get locked out of doing the revamp penguins? You should be able to do your penguins as usual. And actually, there's a temporary period for 2 weeks once it goes live. It's going to be from the 14th till the 28th. That if you find one penguin, you will automatically get a reset token, so you can properly reset it and experience it in full, as well as some other small bonuses throughout that 2 week periods, where some of the super secret agents will spawn more frequent, and those kinds of bits. So yes, we did think about that. So you should be more than happy to do your things.
Sorry, just very quickly. Just thought of one thing that might be worth mentioning, particularly for the kind of the Lords of the Weight style people who want to know where to go on update day. So Shrew, where should they to play this content?
So obviously we have a mini quest, which is a requirement to get to the incubator room, and you'd want to be on Anachronia near Mr. Mordo. It's a kick-off point.
Cool. Thanks. That's a good one, actually. I didn't think about that myself. I also just quickly want to counter someone with who said just something. Zangizo asked, did you say the pet was called Sheldon? Yes, it's called Sheldon. Yes, there are other pets in game that are called Sheldon as well. I think we've got some more duplicate names for our pets, but this one we specifically called Sheldon because he also appears already in game, if I'm correct. So that happens. Cool. With all that said, we're gonna finish this room slightly early, but I hope it was full of information and a lot of information that you guys wanted. So thank you all for watching. Thank you once more, Model Spawn and Motsru, for being on the live stream to talk about the Effigy Incubator. And with all that said, we hope you enjoy it on Monday when it's coming all out. And until then, oh wait, there's another thing that I want to plug quickly. Tomorrow we are going to continue with these tutorials. We'll have both Bojack and Motstu there, and I'll try and sort my audio out for that live stream. So really cool stuff coming up as well. We're going to continue with Troll Warzone. And now I've definitely said everything I wanted. So there's nothing else aside from saying enjoy the content on Monday and look after yourselves until it seems.
Get incubating.